Hi, it's Matthew Dickson of mindday.ca. Welcome to the Friday night live. Earlier, I do some of these lives recorded when I can't make them live, so technically they're not live, but they do show up as live on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and that's the best I can do for now. I prefer to do them actually live, but I have other obligations at the time tonight. So sorry about that. And anyway, I want to talk about advocacy. And it's something that I've been wanting to encourage in other people for a while. And I haven't talked a whole lot about it online. There are some things you can do. Well, first off, I'm going to say this. If you've got mental illness or maybe something else other than mental illness that is really tough, I know for me, for many, many years, I could only focus on myself in some ways. I mean, I think a lot of people help out a little bit, throw some change in a donation tip jar sort of thing. Uh, but to really do more advocacy work that takes up more of your time, putting yourself out there, public speaking, going on lives on YouTube, for example, starting your own YouTube channel for a cause. You may not be able to do that if you've got if mental illness is bad for you. It was for me for many years. I felt bad that I couldn't do as much as I wanted to help other people. So I want to say this: if you're like that, if you're going through a lot, and the most you can do is focus on yourself, and that's the most you can do. Please try to remember that that is an amazing accomplishment. When you're depressed, your brain puts yourself down saying, I'm just doing this, I'm just doing that, I don't really matter, that sort of stuff. All the things I do, they're not that big a deal. They are a big deal. They are huge, phenomenal accomplishments. And I want to tell you that because your brain may not be telling that yourself. My brain told me that for years. Oh, you're just doing this, Matthew, you're just doing that. And it depressed me. I was depressed. And I want to tell you that it's an amazing accomplishment. Carrie Fisher, the Hollywood actress, said people with mental illness deserve medals. You deserve medals for what you're doing. For other people who are doing better, who have more energy and want to help other people, well, first off, if you are wondering, a lot of people think, what should I do with my life? What should I do? I don't know what I want to do with my life. People at any age say that, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do. Martin Seligman, he's got a TED Talk called The New Era of Positive Psychology, and basically he says that it's been scientifically proven through psychological studies that the best predictor of long-term life satisfaction is helping other people, helping the environment, helping animals, being of something larger than yourself, being of service. And the way you do that is by using your gifts, things where you lose track of time, where you just love what you do. Using your gifts to help other people, that is the best predictor of long-term life satisfaction. And other things are great too and needed, good social support, basic needs met, things like that. But to really say, you know what, I'm doing something with my life. I'm doing something with my life. I'm doing something that I want to do. Instead of saying I don't know what I want to do. And since I started my advocacy work for Mind Aid back in 2018, I feel like there's more focus in my life. My life isn't always focused minute by minute, second by second, but I've got more focus. It's like, you know what, I know what I should be working on today or tomorrow. And sometimes I take time off. I need time for myself for sure. So one of the things I haven't talked about though is how to do advocacy work. And I've got some tips on that. I still feel like I'm relatively new to advocacy because I've had to work on my recovery the last 4 years of doing this. So I couldn't go as hard or as far as I wanted to with this advocacy work. But there's a book called Click Millionaires, and it talks about money and whatnot. And I don't know, I'm not focusing on that right now. It's a great book. Scott Fox is the author, and it's a great book on an introduction to how to put yourself out there online And he says himself in the title, you don't have to get rich doing this. If you make enough money to quit your job, that's great. You're by no means a millionaire. But he also talks about how to make millions of dollars. I've been reading books on how to make millions so that I can raise funds for other people to help them with mental illness in developing countries. And I don't need millions myself. I don't need a big fancy yacht and all that sort of stuff. But I have been reading on how to make money to donate to other people who need it way more than I do. So Click Millionaires is a great book. He gives you a good introduction on how to do things online to put yourself out there. He says you can have a YouTube channel up for free in minutes. You can have social media up for free in minutes. You can have a blog or website up for free in minutes. He says, put yourself out there, say things, write things, speak things, and attach to a cause larger than yourself and try to work towards that. Rick Hansen said that if you attach to something larger than yourself and work towards that. It may not be the thing you ultimately want to do. Maybe you want to switch to another cause, another effort to help somehow in the world. Another guy, Harv Eker, he's got books on how to make millions. He says when you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, it's like a suit or clothes. Try on a suit, try on some clothes, see how they fit, walk around in them for a bit, wear them for a few weeks, do some advocacy work for an hour or a day or a few weeks, and see how that goes. Try something else until you find something that fits, like clothes. Keep trying things until you find something that fits. And you don't have to have everything figured out from the get-go. And another thing on that is passion. You don't have to be super, super passionate about something to create change. You can have interest. Many of us don't know what are not super, super passionate about things. We're interested in some things or a lot of things, or interest can take you a long way. Just be interested in something and try to help other people somehow with that. And it can help. It can help make you happier. Lila Jana, she's got a book called Give Work. She actually passed away in recent years. But she said that when she helps people, she gave people digital work to lift themselves out of poverty in some of the poorest places in the world. And they were paid doing this digital work. They were paid by large companies like, I don't know what, Apple, Amazon, that sort of thing, to do this work. And lifting herself out of poverty was great. So she went in and gave people computers and taught them how to do basic digital work. And she's now her company, now that she's gone, they've been doing great work. She said that when she helps people, she says it just makes her feel so good. That's what she said, by helping other people. It just makes me feel so good. And maybe that can happen to you. Maybe you're sitting watching TV thinking, I wonder if there's anything else I could do with my life. I wonder what I should do. Instead of changing the channel and keep doing what you're usually doing, maybe try learning a little bit about something. Maybe you don't even, maybe you want to learn something and share that with other people. That's one of the things Scott Fox talks about in Click Millionaires. Is he's got a whole chapter on people thinking, who am I to talk about this? Who am I? He says he's talked to people with like doctors and all sorts of letters after their name. And they're saying, who am I to talk about this? He says, but you've got all these letters after your name. You should be the one talking about this. You don't have to be the one and only expert on a subject to talk about it, to get up on stages. You might be one of many, hundreds, thousands of people who know similar stuff to you, but people need to be helped, and we need more people helping people who need to be helped. That could be you. That could be you getting up, and instead of spending another night watching TV or going online, and I mean, that's great. I love watching TV and going online and movies and all that sort of stuff. But when you help other people, it can help you. And so that's what Scott Fox talks about. He says you don't have to be the one and only expert. You can be, in fact, I think he has 4 kinds of experts that he talks about in the book. One is a learn with me expert. You simply get up, say it's YouTube or Facebook or something, and say, hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm going to learn this subject, or I'm going to start doing this work. I know nothing about it. I'm a newbie, or I know a little bit about it, and follow along with me as I go on this journey. And people watch that. People will tune in to see you do this and see you on your journey going through this. What happens after that is, after so many months or years doing this stuff, you become more of an expert. You don't have to be the one and only expert. Still, you can be one of hundreds or thousands of experts, but you can be someone who knows more, and you can teach other people what you do. And if you're worried about getting up in front of the camera, follow Chris Winfield and Jen Gottlieb, Gottlieb. They were part of Superconnector Media. I believe they just sold that to another company. But if you Google them, Chris Winfield, Jen Gottlieb, they teach people. They have a boot camp now called Brand Famous. It used to be Be Seen Boot Camp, and before that, Be On TV Boot Camp. They teach people how to get on TV, how to get articles written about them or write for publications, how to get on podcasts. They teach you how to be seen. And they do great work. A lot of what they teach you is confidence and mindset. And so many people think I'm not the person to be up on stage talking about this. I'm just not. But they teach you that you can be. There are people who have no followers, have no knowledge of certain things, and they say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get up and I'm going to start doing this. And for example, TV stations waited for years for people to be okay with being interviewed on Zoom or Skype or whatever video platforms have been around for years. But the public wasn't ready for it. When the pandemic hit in 2020, everyone started doing Zooms, and TV stations were so happy because finally we can do things on Zoom now. We don't have to send teams and teams and teams of people everywhere to record all this stuff and film it. We can do this virtually. So people think, well, TV's dead. Lots of people watch TV. They say lots of people still watch TV. There's so many internet shows too that you can watch. There's so many shows out there. They show that to you. They say in every state in America and other countries, there are so many local, regional TV stations. If you start getting exposure, you don't have. If you live in Montana, and you have a message that could help people in Florida, you don't have to go to Florida. You can simply get in touch with Florida regional, local TV stations and say, hi, I've got this story, and you pitch them. Would you want me to be on your show? All these stations so many of them have 24/7 content they need content. They need stories. They're looking for you. They want to hear your story. Jen says, for people who are afraid to get in front of the camera, try not to focus on you. Focus on the message. She says it's your duty. If there's something that you think needs to be shared, it's your duty to share it. And forget about yourself. It needs to be said. Someone's got to say it. I've got a friend who does advocacy work, and she said, I'm doing this, I'm leading this because I don't see anybody else doing it. How many people aren't doing it? You could be that one person out of many who gets up and starts doing things. How do you take charge? How do you be that leader? I'm learning. In 2018, I'd spent 20 plus years of recovery from schizophrenia. I wasn't ready until 2018. The disease first hit me in 1994, a long time ago. And it wasn't until 2018 when I said, you know what, I'm ready to have a website online. And then I slowly got into social media one by one over the next so many months. In the last 4 years, I just joined a new one, Instagram, lately. It took me 4 years to get on Instagram. And I just tackled things one at a time, working on my recovery. And I've found, I can give a bit of advice now that I've been doing this for a while. I'm not as much of a newbie. I've found that when you have a website or even a Facebook page for free, and you've got a cause behind you, that will open a lot of doors. People say, "Oh, you're doing this? Where can I find you online? Here's my Facebook page. Here's my Instagram page. Here's my TikTok page. Here's my website. Here's my blog. Here's my whatever." And you link that and you tell people what you're doing and give a way for people to get in touch with you. And if they want to ask you questions, and helping other people, helping. There are so many people who need help in the world, so many. Scott Harrison, a real influence for me, he started Charity Water he's in New York City, and he's helped millions of people get clean drinking water since the last 15 years or so. And he says that 700 million people in the world don't have clean drinking water. He says wherever he's gone, it's always the women and girls getting the water. Some of them walk up to 8 hours a day, 4 hours one way they say it's often a yellow jerry can. That seems to be what they carry in countries all over the world to get water. A yellow jerry can on their back, empty. They get there, fill it up with filthy, dirty, rotten water, and they carry it back on their back, a big yellow jerry can that weighs a lot. They walk 4 hours back every day of the year. They don't get weekends off. They don't get Christmas off. 365 days a year, year after year after year, they have to carry this dirty, filthy water on their back that's breaking their back. Some of them have their spines aren't formed right when they've been carrying since a young age. And they get back and they drink it. There's not much. They have to ration it out throughout the day, and it's killing them. They're getting diseases. They're getting sick. Sometimes leeches get down their throat and into and they have to burn them off with like a bit of diesel or gasoline or something in their throat. They're getting diseases from all the parasites in the water. 700 million people. Today. It's happening today. He's helped something like 13 or 14 million people in the last 15 years. He's hoping that they can cure the water crisis in his lifetime. The next, let's say, 40 years or so. I think he's 45, 46 years old maybe now. And he says we can do it. We know how to do this. We know how to cure the water situation. It's not like we've got scientists in labs trying to figure out how do we get clean water. You go to anywhere in the world where people don't have water, there's a way to get them water where they are. Whether it's rainwater harvesting, drilling wells, bio sand filters. I'm not an expert in this. But he says we know how to do it. It's just the funds and the work to get the infrastructure there at their town, their community. We can do this. It's very doable. And with mental health in developing countries, what I fight for, I've learned a lot from Scott. I've learned a lot. I've watched many of his interviews online, and I've taken notes because there's a lot of parallels between what he does with water in developing countries and mental health in developing countries. He also really inspires me. Sometimes I find myself getting off track a bit, and I say, you know what, I need to listen to Scott, and I'll put on one of his videos, and he recalibrates me, rebalances me, gets me back on track again. And so thank you, Scott, for doing that. That means a lot to me. I mention his name a fair bit because he's a real trailblazer in making nonprofits and advocacy work, philanthropy work more innovative. He said when he first started learning about the nonprofit world, he said he found a lot of the websites were clunky. He said there's no Nike of the charity world, no Apple, no Uber. And he's trying to change that. He works with a lot of tech people with more innovation in what they do. He says he talks to a lot of billionaires. He actually said, I think he said he doesn't spend a whole lot of time with other nonprofits. I could be wrong in that, but anyway, he's one to watch and one to follow. So with mental health in developing countries, the World Health Organization, there are models of basic mental health care that are low cost, proven effective, and scalable. And the World Health Organization is trying to figure out the best way to roll them out to the masses. So these aren't perfect, but they work, and they can help many people. Strong Minds America Strong Minds helps women with depression in Africa. Right now they're working in Uganda and Zambia. But this year they started Strong Minds America. They're using these models of basic mental health care, and they're starting to use them in America, or at least setting the stage for that this year, which is huge. There are people, Shakar Saxena of the UN, he said at the UN, he's from Harvard, he said every country, when it comes to mental health care, is a developing country. So there's poverty in developed countries all over the world, and their mental health care system is not good. And Strong Minds America, thank you for getting your work done in America. Could you bring it to Canada? We'd love to see it here. We've got poverty in Canada, people who are crying out for help and for mental health care. So, yeah, speaking, since I'm on the topic of developed countries right now, there is a lady in 2002 in Quebec, Canada. She took the government to court saying it is cruel and inhumane to give people below subsistence levels of welfare, social assistance. Cruel and inhumane. In Canada, where I am in New Brunswick, Canada, it's about $560 a month for a single person for welfare. Other provinces in Canada have similar amounts. I don't know what welfare is in the States or other developed countries, but I'm assuming it's pretty similar. It is cruel and inhumane. That was 2002. It's 2022 now. Things have changed. The last 10, 12 years or so, we've slowly started to talk more and more and more about mental health. When the pandemic hit in 2020, we've been talking about mental health so much more now. It's wide out there, wide out in the open. We're having so many more conversations about this, which is wonderful. I've been waiting for this for years. Cruel and inhumane. I've never understood that. I spent years where I couldn't work. For some reason, I was lived in a group home for a while. I never struggled with money. I was never homeless, but that always nagged me. I remember thinking, I'm so sick now. So sick. I can't work. There were like 3 or 4 years went by and I couldn't even think about work. And I thought, for people who can't work or mentally ill or maybe other problems other than mental illness, why do we only get that much money? In Canada, when the pandemic hit, people were getting $2,000 a month, the COVID benefit. Okay, it was rolled out pretty quickly. Okay, awesome, great. There's a real case for universal basic income now. What would happen if someone went to the courts again with Louise Gosselin did and brought that to the courts? What happened when Louise brought it to the courts? It was a heated debate. A friend of mine who's a lawyer said that they had to study this case when he was in law school. And so it was an important case. It stood out among many others. It was a heated debate. 9 judges ruled 5-4 that it wasn't their decision to make that decision about welfare and whether it should be increased. And that's how it ended. In 2002. It's 20 years later. Is it time to bring this up again? In the public sphere? Have a conversation about this? Is it time? Would there be change now? Would it be a heated debate? Or would it be over lickety-split saying, you know what, this needs to be done. This needs to be done. It is cruel and inhumane. How many people had to speak out about slavery, saying it is cruel and inhumane before something was done about it, before it was abolished? How many people had to speak out? How long did it take? I don't know. I'm not an expert in that. How long will it take? How many people have died from homelessness, from financial stress over the last so many decades? How many people? I think about the Indigenous in Canada and the Truth and Reconciliation Committee. The Prime Minister apologized in 2000 to Canada's Indigenous for how they were treated here years ago and still are in some capacity. And should we have a public apology for how we've been treating people with mental illness and the homeless? How many people have died? How many on the streets? How many people have ended their life from financial stress? How many? Is this, I'm no expert. Maybe I'm off base here, but these thoughts go through my head. This is what I think about. So anyway, that's up for discussion. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this. And yeah, that's so for if you want to help people with mental health, and because every country is a developing country when it comes to mental health care, we need to be talking about this more and having discussions. I'll leave it at that, and I hope to see you Monday night for the next live I'm doing. And if you're struggling with mental health, I just want to say, keep going. You are valuable. You are very, 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 very valuable. You are a masterpiece. And I know your brain might not be telling you that, but I want to say hang in there. I don't know you, but I want to say I think you're doing the best you can. I think you're doing the best you can. Forgive yourself. Try to forgive yourself for it was hard for me to forgive myself. Your brain just keeps saying, your brain is just so negative in that state. So I want to say it for you. You're a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person. You worked so hard for today. I know the challenges you've been through today, how difficult it was to simply put on your shoes, head out the door. Maybe it was difficult to simply just sit on the couch all day. Maybe it took you so much effort just to sit on the couch. And now the day is done. Maybe the day's just starting, depending on where you are in the world. But I congratulate you for what you've done today, for how hard you fought, for the battles you faced, for the medals that should be pinned to your chest. The trophies, the awards, the plaques that should be piled up in your house. Piled up. Rooms upon rooms of trophies, plaques, awards, medal certificates for bravery, courage, determination, fortitude. Nobody could tell me that when I was sick. And I'm trying to tell you that to you now. I'm trying to tell you that to you now. You are valuable. Keep fighting. Keep hanging in there. You don't know what tomorrow may bring. You don't know. There are medical advancements coming down the tubes. If you look over the last year, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 40, 80 years, there have been medical advancements. Every single year, every month, people are working on this. Every week, Monday to Friday, there are people, thousands and thousands and thousands of people all over the world going to work, working on this. You have teams. You have teams that would put NASA to shame, maybe, I don't know, working on this. So many people are working on this. So many people. And they're doing it for you. Because people out there care. They care about you. They want you to get better. They don't want to see you suffer. They don't know you, but they don't want to see you suffer. They believe in this, and they're working for you. And they go in, they get up every morning, they show up to work, they go to the lab, they go to whatever it is that they're doing. It doesn't have to be a lab setting, could be anything. And they're doing it for you. They're trying to work on things to get you better. There are people fundraising. There are people doing all sorts of things to help you because you matter.